an estimated 70,000 cedars is needed to reclaim a degraded hectare of land. The Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, John Peter Amewu, says 1.5% of the country's 238,000 kilometers square earth surface has been degraded by illegal mining activities.
You see, when we start the reclamation process, as I already noted, there is going to be a sustained combat and militant, supervision process in place, which is going to last a minimum of 1 year. And so we don't expect that. A good question somebody asks is, in attempt to reclaim, people will come back and do the digging, because there's going to be supervision. The police, the military, the law enforcement agencies will be around. We expect to maintain, what we are witnessing now. So it is important that the reclamation, as you rightly put it, will start as early as possible. That is number one. Number two, it's to begin to look for the alternative livelihood for these people. Of course, these are the guys that will be brought into the MMIP. Again and again, we are not stopping mining. We are not against mining, but we are stopping the methodology that is in Ghana now. We need to mine and mine in an environmental sustainable manner. Those that are interested in mining in this manner, of course, will be re-engaged and placed under the MMIP.
Let's do some discussions on this. Dr. Bosman Erikasare is the head of research and media relations at the Africa Center for Security and Counterterrorism. Hello, sir. Good evening, and thank you very much for your time. So, efforts to tackle galamsey have been intensified with under the new administration. Now, would you say there is a security angle the government should focus on whilst it tries to permanently resolve this menace of illegal mining?
Good evening to you, Stephen, and good evening to your viewers. I think that one of the key things we must take into consideration as a country is that on a critical issue like the fight against galamsey, security issues obviously cannot be ruled out. And we know galamseyers are usually people who are very energetic, and some of them, because they really know their livelihoods are completely dependent on it, they are going to resort to all forms of, at times, even violence to be able to prevent authorities from taking action. And we've even been hearing that even in the midst of government cracking down, you have some groups that are always trying to take advantage of the system to perpetuate violence on others. So I think that the security dimension is very, very important. But the good thing going for the government is that the government has the goodwill of the Ghanaian people, the security, the police, the army, all of them appear to be on board. So I think that as the government is taking into consideration the security dimension as a country, we should be able to address the problem within the shortest possible time.
There is also the threat that galamsey poses to food and security. The minister has told us that reclaiming degraded lands will cost Ghana some 20 billion cedis. From where you stand, do you think there is hope?
No, I think there is. But one of the key things is that as a country, once you recognize this is your challenge, this is a problem you are going through, by even recognizing the problem alone is very, very important. And in Ghana, we are not an island unto ourselves. There are many countries that are interested in Ghana making that particular progress. So although the cost to address the problem is very huge, once the government has shown a clear statement of intent, and I think unusually we've had the media, civil society, everyone appears to be on board. And this wasn't happening some few months or some few years ago. So that's a clear indication that as a country we have all resolved that this is a problem that has that can affect our future. So we are trying to address it. We may not be able to reclaim all the land, but once the commitment is there to reclaim, to address the problem, I think we can only go far as a country.
Now, Doc, I know there have been major concerns. There are concerns of people who are going at the blind side of security agencies to go and do galamsey in the thick of night. We've had that report today. There are also concerns of legally applying the necessary laws. Security experts have said that the minerals laws were not applied rigorously. Otherwise, these equipment which were asked to be removed from the sites would have been seized. So, constantly, although government is trying, there are these challenges coming up. The latest challenge is also from a community which feel that government should have put in place an alternative livelihood to galamsey before banning galamsey. So looking at all these challenges I've mentioned, do you still have confidence that the approach that government is adopting might yield results at the end?
No, I think so, largely because, you know, the government approach has largely been rooted in what the experts will call carrot and sticks. You are trying to encourage the people voluntarily to quit this particular activity, and after some time, once they are not able to, if they don't abide by the rules governing them, quitting, etc., then as a government, you come in with the army, you come with the to be able to address the problem. We know, as you rightly pointed out, some of the things are happening deep into the night. But the good thing is that if, as a government, you have shown the commitment, you want to address the problem, government has the tools of national security at her disposal. You can ensure the army will be at some of these sites 24/7. So I think resolving the problem, although it's a tedious activity, it can be done. And in terms of the alternative livelihood, I think, you know, this is a country where a developing country. There are many challenges. I don't think we can depend on government to ensure that all these people have access to certain opportunities. But it will not be out of place for government to come out with a program so that all those who have been affected by the crackdown will be given something to be sustain them for 2-3 months as they look for something different to do to survive.
Right, Dr. Bosman Asare, we're grateful for your time. Thank you very much. Dr. Bosman Eric Asare is Head of Research and Media Relations at the Africa Center for Security and Counterterrorism. This is News at 10. We're live on 3FM 92.7 as well as TV3. I'm Stephen N.T. We have more news for you. Please don't go away. Welcome back. Now, President Akufo-Addo has vowed to make Accra the cleanest city in Africa during his tenure. The president, who was speaking at a Durbar in Accra on Sunday, appealed to the people to support government keep Accra clean.
The commitment I want to make is a commitment I want all of us to make, that within these 4 years, by the end of the 4 years of my term in office as president, Accra will be the cleanest city in Africa. That is where we want to get to. I want you to help me so that we can work together for the progress of English.
Right, the Vice Chairman of the Coalition of Non-Governmental Organization in Water and Sanitation, Atta Ahin, is joining us on the line. Good evening, sir. Thank you. So, sanitation issues in Accra, would you say the problem is attitudinal, or you would say is mainly enforcement?
Well, thank you very much. It's a number of issues.
Right, a number of reasons. Yes, these reasons are not attitudinal, and they're also not enforcement.
First of all, let me say that we have serious challenges when it comes to funding. In fact, sanitation is a major issue which will attract government attention, but unfortunately it is not. If you are able to address sanitation, you are addressing your education, you are addressing your public health, you are addressing your food security and other things. But unfortunately, if I tell you the amount of money government puts into sanitation, it is woefully inadequate. Secondly, it is attitudinal. You rightly pointed it out. You see, over the years, we have allowed Ghanaians to cultivate a certain attitude which has become difficult for us to now address. And it is now beginning to haunt us. Then it is also the fact that we need to decentralize further the sanitation and waste management. If we are able to decentralize further, you will find out that let's
get some. Ms. Ahin, I beg your pardon. Ms. Ahin, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I want us to get some clarity before we continue. You are saying that we need to decentralize further. What exactly do you mean by that? Already, collection of waste and treatment is done by local assemblies, and private individuals, sanitation companies are involved also. This is not enough, and you want what else to be done?
I agree with you that some level of decentralization is taking place. But you see, the center still holds a lot of authority. And for that matter, even the AMA can decide how waste management should be treated. I think we should also decentralize further the authority to take decisions, authority to innovate, authority to do things out of the box, which sub-metals, I believe, can do, rather than allowing the AMA to have a lot of power, a lot of influence over the sub-metals, and over even those that you call waste management agencies who are into sanitation. That is what I'm talking about.
Right.
Apart from that, the major thing I think government should tackle is the fact that we have a number of laws. You agree with me that Ghana doesn't lack laws. We have the policies, we have the plans, we have the laws, but we are not implementing them. And so people do what they like, and they never get sanctioned for anything. So that's why this thing continues to happen.
That's right. So on the back of the challenge you just mentioned, people doing whatever they like without being sanctioned by the law, the negativity of our attitudes towards our immediate surroundings and all of that, when we look at that and we contrast that to the president making a promise to make Accra the cleanest city in Africa, do you see this as feasible?
Well, for me, the coalition welcomes any move, any initiative aimed at addressing the poor sanitation situation in Ghana, and for that matter in Accra. And therefore, we want to commend the president for at least dreaming big. It is important that if it comes from the highest level of authority, it affects the different level.
If I understand you correctly, you see this just as a dream, big dream, and that there are no systems in place to make it actualized?
Yes, my brother. The fact is that once he has that objective, that dream, then he will be forced to take practical actions, initiatives aimed at addressing the situation. And once that commitment is there, it will trickle down to the ministers and then to the sub-level structures and to the citizenry. And so we are hoping that the president will back these words with the work, so that he is able to inject the necessary resources into sanitation delivery. If we are able to do all these things, I believe that we may not be the cleanest city in Africa maybe in the next 4 years, but at least we may be the cleanest in West Africa.
Right.
That may be another achievement.
Right. Ms. Atahin, we're grateful for your time. Thank you very much. Atahin is chairman of the Coalition of Non-Governmental Organizations in Water and Sanitation. Now, more than 100 members of the Industrial and Commercial Workers Union, ICU, including its General Secretary, Solomon Kote, nearly turned away after being met with heavy stench at the Pantang Hospital. The members who had gone to the premises to present some assorted items felt disappointed and insisted on pushing the Ministries of Health and Environment to ensure decent workplace for staff of the hospital.
Numbering more than 100, the members of the Industrial and Commercial Workers Union converged at Presec, Legum, to present their items. They brandished placards and moved through the streets to present their assorted items to the Pantang Hospital. However, upon arriving at the hospital, the members were greeted with this deplorable road at the main entrance of the hospital. They again felt a strong stench emanating from the dump sites closely located around the Pantang Hospital. This nearly forced the team, including the General Secretary Solomon Kote, to stop the presentation.
Sit for about 5 minutes, it welcomes you. It gets you feel nauseated, and if you don't take care, you can even throw out. It's that bad.
So what will you be doing as a national union?
Well, we have indicated already we'll get to the Adenta municipality and then try to see whether we can even link the AMA, even though it is not in that jurisdiction, because it's a major task that we think they need to join forces to get it, cleared, or get a safety way of actually managing this fields.
A senior medical director at the hospital, Dr. Livian Jima, felt frustrated about the stench.
We are happy that ICU has also experienced it through the visit and have made appeals to the powers that be to at least take a second look at it and see how best to improve. Either there will be a recycling plant that will overtake the activities of the refuse dump so that the hazards that come with it will not be experienced by the residents around this locality.
Meanwhile, one major concern to the management of the hospital is the inadequate subvention to manage the hospital. In 2016, the Pantan Hospital received 180,000 cedis, while in 2017, the hospital has received 380,000 cedis. Of major concern to them is a delay in the passage of the airline on mental health. The hospital again complained about encroachment and the poor road network in its premises. Later, the disappointed members of ICU presented their assorted items worth 10,000 cedis, including 200 beds to the hospital.
We are even planning to adopt a ward so that every year we will come and then make sure that the things that they need we are able to supply.
In a related development, the hospital organized a health screening to check the blood pressure and eyesight of the members.
And the 2017-2018 calendar year recruitment into the Ghana Armed Forces has started. We have Colonel Agri Kwashi, the Director of Public Relations of the Ghana Armed Forces, joining us on the telephone lines now. Good evening, sir. And what are the processes interested persons need to go through in order to be enlisted into the Army?
Good evening, my brother. The processes are outlined in the advert, but I will say that the potential recruits need to meet certain requirements. There is a general eligibility that is expected of them. You should not be less than 18 years and then not more than 25 years for non-tradesmen and not more than 27 years for tradesmen by 1st September 2017. You should not be married, you should not be bonded. We have heights, minimum height that you need to meet for males and then that for females. And also you need to get 6 credits at BEC, including English and Maths, and then 5 credits at the SSC, including English and Maths, core English and then core mathematics. So these ones are very, very critical or crucial for anybody. This is a general eligibility. And then if you want to join any of the services, they have special requirements. You have Army candidates, and the Army you have the Pay Corps, Engineer Corps, the different branches within the Army. You go to the Navy, it's the same thing. Apart from the general eligibility, you need special qualifications to be able to fit into the different branches. You go to the Air Force, it's also the same. It's a very tall list. So what I would say is that they need to get the advert.
Yes.
It was published in the Ghanaian Times of today, Monday, and then the next publication is expected on Friday in the Daily Graphic.
Right now, kind of over the past few months, we have seen recruitments into the police service, for example, being hit with scams. I want to find out from you what measures the armed forces have put in place to avert these things, scams, fake certificates, and those things.
Everything is being done online, and so what I want to tell prospective applicants is that they should not listen to anybody who will tell them that and go around the system. One, the person will just take your money, and then 2, he or she will put you into trouble. Because when you are picked up at the end of the day, you will be prosecuted. Yes, we know we've been using this system for close to 4 or 5 years now, And so every time we improve upon it.
All right.
Every time we improve upon it.
Right.
And so it's not going to be easy for anybody who, especially what people try to do, they go to photocopy their result slip or certificate and then they doctor the results. They will be picked up. They will be picked up because there's a system in place that we are using together with the examining bodies so that we're able to detect those fake certificates.
Right, Colonel, we're grateful for your time. Thank you very much. Colonel Agri Koshi is the Director of Public Relations at the Ghana Armed Forces. I'm Stephen Enti. And on that note, we draw the curtains for News at 10. Thanks for making time with us. And then for those of you who tuned in to 3FM 92.7, thank you for leaving your dial there. On behalf of the crew, good night. There is more news at 3news.com.